This is the greatest disaster in the history of shadow drops. Sony really woke up and decided to execute the most embarrassing surprise in gaming history, thinking they were pulling a Beyoncé. But instead they tripped over their own shoelaces and fell face first into a pile of digital manure. We are looking at God of War, Sons of Sparta, a game that was dropped like a hot potato, and frankly, the potato is rotten. If you are sitting there on your break, 30-something years old, wondering why your childhood hero Kratos is suddenly a two-dimensional sprite that looks like he was rendered on a calculator from 2014, you are not alone. The audacity required to stealth launch a side-scroller for $30 in this economy is actually impressive in a terrifying, corporate dystopia kind of way. You like God of War, you see 1 or 2 players on the store page, you picture couch co-op with your friend or your partner, and you click buy. Then the game hits you with the most cursed twist since press X to grieve. Co-op is not for now, it is for later. And by later, I mean after you finish the whole campaign. Yeah, the 2-player couch co-op is basically a post-credit coupon for a mode you thought you purchased up front. It is like buying a tandem bicycle, and the second seat unlocks after you bike across Sweden alone. Now, before anyone starts foaming at the mouth, the game is not some unplayable trash fire. It is a real product with real dev work, and Sony even pitched it as a canon prequel about young Kratos training in the Agoj with daimos, spear and shield combat, and some gifts of Olympus artifacts to spice things up. All that sounds fine until you realize the biggest artifact here is the ancient art of corporate wording. Because the controversy is not does the combat feel crunchy, it is why does the store page read like a promise, but play like a technicality. That is the whole vibe of the Backlash right now, and you can watch it spread in real time across forums, Reddit threads and headlines that basically translate to I feel cheated, and I want a refund. People did not buy a bonus mode, they bought the idea of shared play tonight. Sony response was basically, oh you meant co-op immediately. The official Santa Monica Studio account posted the clarification, finish the main story, then you unlock a challenge mode that supports local 2-player couch co-op. That message is the digital equivalent of a waiter telling you the fries are available after you eat the plate. And here is the part where you become the villain in Sony eyes. You download the game, you launch it, you realize the co-op you wanted is locked, and now you are in refund hell. PlayStation own refund rules are brutal. If you started downloading or streaming a game, you generally are not eligible, unless it is faulty, even if you are within 14 days. So, the rage is not just emotional, it is structural. Sony built the maze, handed you the map, then charged you extra for the exit sign. Meanwhile, you are staring at the request refund page like it is a boss door, except the boss is a checkbox that says content downloaded. The funniest part is how predictable this was. Shadow drops are supposed to feel like a gift, like wow, a new thing. This one landed more like wow, a new invoice, because $30 is not cute little spin-off money for most people in 2026. That price point is doing so much heavy lifting it needs a chiropractor. At $15 a lot of folks would shrug, laugh and call it a snack. At $30, it becomes dinner pricing, and dinner comes with expectations like not hiding the second fork until you finish chewing. And Sony marketing absolutely fed the confusion. When your storefront says 1 or 2 players and throws around 2-player couch co-op, normal humans assume that means co-op exists at the start, like it has in every other couch co-op game since cavemen discovered split screen. If the truth is co-op challenge mode after credits, you do not bury that like it is a shameful family secret. This is why the Backlash has such momentum. It is not just one angry guy screaming into the void, it is 1,000 small stories that all sound the same. I bought this for date night and now I am doing solo homework. That kind of disappointment sticks, because it is personal and it is preventable. Even critics are basically saying, yeah, it is fine, but the design is bare bones, which is the politest way to say I have seen deeper systems in a vending machine. OpenCritic has it sitting around the mid-70s right now, which is the rating equivalent of a participation trophy with a frown drawn on it. Metacritic early critic average is in that same neighborhood, which screams not a disaster, not a must-play, definitely not worth a brand tax. Speaking of brand tax, this is the core of the you versus them problem. You are paying for the name on the box, and they know it. If this exact game launched as Spartan Brothers Dungeon Walk, it would be $12 and included co-op on the title screen, and we both know it. Instead, you are funding the privilege of hearing Kratos grunt in pixel form. And apparently that privilege includes being a beta tester for marketing clarity. It is like Sony decided the most authentic Greek myth experience is getting tricked by an oracle with vague wording. Then David Jaffe, the original God of War creator, shows up like an angry ghost from 2005, and he is not subtle. He called the spin-off dull, generic, and offensive, in a rant that reads like someone just keyed his car with the PlayStation logo. He even questioned why this exists at all, which is hilarious because the answer is obviously money, and Sony is not exactly shy about that part. Now, to be fair, Jaff's take is also getting pushed back on, because he only played about an hour. That is like watching the first 10 minutes of a movie, leaving the theater, and then arguing about the ending. Still, when the guy most associated with the brand is publicly dunking on your new release, that is not free marketing, that is a family reunion fight. And the timing makes it worse. Sony also used the same state of play to tease a remake project for the original trilogy, which is the stuff fans actually want to throw money at. So, while you are dreaming about big remakes with TC Carson returning, you are being handed a side-scroller that feels like a warm-up lap you did not ask for. That contrast is brutal. It is like promising steak, then dropping a bag of crotons on the table, and saying surprise, it is canon. Sure, crotons can be good, but not at steak prices and not with the second croton locked behind the receipt. Let us talk about the co-op lock specifically, because it is so dumb it loops back around into comedy. Couch co-op is a vibe, it is immediate, it is the point, it is the entire reason people drag a second controller out of the drawer. Locking it behind completion is like telling someone the swimming pool opens after they dry off. And yes, I get the argument that it is optional challenge mode, a bonus, a reward, whatever. That argument collapses the moment marketing implies it is part of the base experience. You cannot sell a feature with big friendly text, then defend it with tiny technical truth, like you are a lawyer who drinks energy drinks. So, the lunch break viewer question becomes simple. Are you getting value or are you getting played? Because it is not about whether Sons of Sparta has some charming pixel art or decent combat, it is about trust. Once trust breaks, everything looks worse. A $30 price becomes greedy, a design choice becomes lazy, and a clarification tweet becomes damage control. That is why the February 13 clarification did not calm people down, it just confirmed the suspicion that the store page was not telling the whole story. And for anyone thinking just refund it, welcome to PlayStation lovely policy maze. Sony support pages are very clear for games and DLC. You generally need to request within 14 days and not have downloaded the content unless it is faulty. So, the average person who clicked buy, downloaded overnight, and tried it in the morning is basically cooked. That is why you see the refund talk turning into bait and switch language. It is why Reddit threads are full of people calling it false advertising, while other people argue it was obvious. If you watched every trailer frame like a conspiracy analyst, nothing unites gamers faster than feeling like a corporation took them for a ride, except maybe free cosmetics. Here is my blunt take. Sons of Sparta might be an okay side project, but Sony priced it like prestige and marketed it like co-op, then hid the co-op behind a finish line most casual players will not reach twice. That combo is a perfect recipe for Backlash, because it targets the exact people who buy quickly, fans who trust the logo. If you are the kind of person who loves Metroidvania-style action, and you would buy this even without co-op, cool, you might have a decent time. If you bought it to play with someone today, you did not buy a game, you bought a to-do list. And nothing says romance like telling your partner, wait, co-op unlocks after my 8-hour grind. Also, can we talk about the visual whiplash for a second? This thing is proudly 2D, which is not a crime, but at first glance, it has that 2014 mobile action game Ad Energy, where the trailer looks fine, and your brain goes, wait, is this the real footage or the fake footage? Some people love the pixel art vibe, and honestly, respect, but the price tag makes every sprite feel like it should be hand-delivered by Hermes with a handwritten apology. And I do not want to dunk on Mega Cat Studios either, because collaborating with Santa Monica is basically being invited to cook in Gordon Ramsay's kitchen while he judges your knife skills. The problem is Sony chose to serve this as a mainline moment, not a cute side dish. That is why the shadow drop stunt did not feel like confidence. It felt like trying to skip the part where you compare it to the last two games that looked like playable movies. Meanwhile, the internet is doing its usual thing, where the discourse becomes a gladiator pit. One side is screaming false advertising, like they are filing paperwork mid-combat. The other side is yelling skill issue, as if reading marketing copy is now part of the difficulty settings. Both sides are missing the funniest truth. Sony created a co-op controversy in the one era where co-op nights are the only affordable social activity. And because it is 2026, everything instantly becomes a culture war side quest. Suddenly, you have people arguing about activists versus gamers and corporate box ticking, like the co-op lock was mandated by Zeus himself. No man, this is not ideology, it is a product page problem. It is not a conspiracy, it is a meeting where someone said, ship it, and nobody asked, ship what exactly. Also, the replay value argument is wild. Unlocking co-op after the credits assumes you want to replay the whole thing, but a lot of players are going to finish and immediately move on, because adults have jobs, laundry, and a suspicious amount of unread emails. A locked mode is only a reward if you are still hungry after the meal. Right now, it is dessert served in the parking lot today. So, what should have happened? One sentence on the store page. Co-op challenge mode unlocks after completing the story. That is it, drama evaporates, nobody feels tricked, and the game lives or dies on its quality instead of its fine print. Instead, we got the corporate classic, ambiguity first, clarification later, and a refund policy that turns buyer remorse into a mythic quest. Kratos fought gods, but you are fighting customer support eligibility. Congratulations, you are the new protagonist. Punchline time, because this whole situation deserves one. Sony did not shadow drop a game, they shadow dropped a disclaimer. And the only thing that truly feels like God of War is the rage they farmed out of your wallet.